that I want to make something out of one of my printables. So I just took this and I printed it off on the printer, and I'm going to take, I don't know, I'm going to say, I'm trying to decide, do I want the Easter basket or the little Easter house? I'm going to let you guys vote, right? Easter basket or Easter house. Just type house or basket in the bottom there, or on your comments, right? If you're watching this live. If you're not watching, if this is the replay, you can't. But so we're gonna do Easter basket. Can you see that? Right? Or Easter house. Let's call it that. Right? So house or basket, you decide. And I'm gonna put it in this frame I got from the dollar store. Right? So I'm gonna put those aside for now because I got to make the papers. Right? So while you're talking about house or basket, I'm going to show you how I'm going to make that really light blue. So I'm going to take my cookie sheet and I'm going to put a lot of white on my palette, right? Hey, a lot of white on my palette. And then I have some blue here on my very famous, what's this, cottage cheese lids. Because I believe in reuse, recycle, right? I'm going to take a tiny smidge of the blue. I don't need much at all because I want this to be almost white, right? I want this blue to be super, super light. And we're going to start mixing. Oh yeah. Did you see it? I mean, because the blue is so dark, I didn't need hardly any. I might use a little bit more. I love mixing colors. Mixing paint is one of my favorite things because, like I say, you only need a couple of basic colors and you can get whatever you want, right? All right. So I'm gonna, now let me just show you. There's the white and the blue. It's not super different, right? I don't want it to be. I want it to be very subtle, right? That's the whole point. So I have some watercolor paper here, just because that's what I happen to have. I'm gonna put you on, hang on, a piece of paper. So my paint's right there for now. With watercolor paper, what works for me is I give it a little spritz on the back, right? And it kind of makes the paper stick, right? A bit to the cookie sheet. This is just to keep things from getting messy. And then I put a tiny bit on the front. And then it just kind of lays down flat. Watercolor paper likes to curve up and you usually have to put tape around it to keep it where you want it. But since I'm just laying paint on this anyway, I'm going to take that blue and put some more water on there. Just and I'm quite literally, like I say, very, very light, right? And I could even add more white to make it lighter. And this is like favorite for me, is to play around with the colors. And then I'm going to set this aside, right? And I don't need to cover the whole thing. I don't mind if there's marks and stuff. And see, it's just very, very light. So I'm going to put that over here. Put you down again. I make a mess when I paint. I just do, right? I deal with it. All right, so. And it's why I wear an apron too, because I am a messy painter. All right, I'm going to do it again. Just need these for basic backgrounds and things like that on my collages, right? But I do need some very light colors. I do tend to skew towards very dark. Now let me show you. You can probably see some stripes and stuff on there. That's okay, right? I don't mind that because when you tear the pieces up, like if you look at the pieces in here and they're torn up, you can see that they look way more interesting, right, than they do like a whole sheet of paper. Let me show you a whole sheet. Looks like that, right? But then when you see it here against with everything else compared and just a bit of it, it looks way more interesting, right, than just all that, right? Just all that. So having little lines and streaks and all that is going to just add to your collage. So see, it's super light again, all right? Now, I still have paint left. I don't want to waste it, right? So I'm going to do, let me see, what else am I going to do? Thinking, guys. I don't ever throw the paint away, right? I just keep covering pages until, because I can just store them in my little box over here, until I run out of the paint, right? So I've got just some copy paper here. Let's see what we can do with that, right? So I'm just gonna, because remember, when this is in bits, it's gonna look way different on my collage than just by itself. So it's really rough, right? Just I love it. It's just like, I heard an artist say, it's like being a kid at the playground. You don't go in with a plan. When we went to the playground, we didn't go with a plan, like we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, you're gonna be this. You get there and you're like, let's play, let's do hide and seek, and you can be, or let's go play, you know, airplane, and you're gonna be the pilot, and you're gonna be the stewardess, and we're gonna be on the merry-go-round, and you just make it up as you're going along. Remember? That's what he said about art, and I thought that is exactly how I feel when I'm doing art. I want to be a kid on the playground again with no agenda, just having fun, so that joy is in my art. All right, so check that out. All right, so now I've got all different kinds of shades and stuff, right? I'm going to just set that over there. That's going to look a little different than the first one that I did. And I still got some, see, I made a mess on there, so now I can use that up. And like I say, I'll just keep going till that paint is completely used, till there's nothing left on my palette, essentially. And I'll just put these in with my blue colored papers for when I need them. When I need very light blue to go against, like to contrast against something, the medium or the dark, the values are called, then I'll have these waiting in the wings, right? And then I'll be able to, when I collage, I pick like 5 or 6. Actually, I pick about 3 of each of my favorite values, the light, medium, and dark. And then I work with just those papers. And I put the rest aside out of my vision. And I just work with those. Only my favorites at the time. And they change every single day they change. So when I go through them again, these might not be my favorites the next time, but the time after that, I'll be like, oh, that's perfect. I love that one today. So you can see I've left a lot of white space on there to keep it very light, right? Really, really, really light compared to how dark. This is actually, this dark blue right here is my base color that I'm starting with, right? That dark blue is what made this light blue. It's exactly the same color with way more white. See that dark, dark blue there? That's it with way more white. So they will match because they are actually the same blue, right? So I love that. That's why I use a limited palette, right? So I always use the same blue. I always use the same red. And that way my colors are always going to match, right? So I don't have to worry about that. That's not one more thing I have to think about. All right, so we got a bunch of those going. I'm going to put my white over here for a minute. Put my blue away. And I'm going to just dry this, right? Because I want to show you what I want to do for the bunny. I'm still thinking about that, okay? Right now, I'm just making light papers, but since I'm making light papers, I'm going to do something for the bunny. What did we decide on? The bunny, or sorry, the Easter basket or the house? Did anybody keep track on the live video? If you're watching the replay, you'll figure out what we figured out. Now, if you want the bunny and the video, it'll be on my website, printercrafts.com. I believe there's a link below here in the live video. It's http://printercrafts, PRINTER, CRAFTS.com. That's where all this kind of stuff is living. All right. Now, because I want it super light, I'm going to go ahead and, I don't know if I'm going to use this with the bunny or not, but I'm going to just keep playing around with the paint, right? I'm going to take some bubble wrap. Let's just get this down to a manageable size. All right, bubble wrap. And give me a second here. Oh, you know what? I know what I can do. I know what I can do. Thank goodness for kitchen supplies. All right. Can you fit on there? No. Okay. He's going to go on here. He's going to go on here. All right. Now, I've got my white paint that's still left. You can see I've still got white down there. I didn't touch all my white. So I'm going to use my white. And let's find a good brush. That'll do. I'm going to take some white paint. And you could do this in any color you want, but again, my goal here today is super subtle, which is not my strength. I'm anything but subtle, guys. Ask my husband. All right, so put some on there, right? And then I'm going to just stamp it on this page. Now, can you see this? So you've seen me paint the bubble wrap. You know what I'm doing, right? So here we go. It's painted on the bubbly side, not the flat side. That won't do you any good. And then I put it down, and now I'm going to just stick, right? Stamp, peel that back. Now remember, what am I going for? Super subtle, right? Can you see it? You can just barely see it, right? But that's what I want. I want a very light value, it's called. So I need it to be very subtle, which means I can't have a lot of difference between the background and the foreground color, right? So the blue is mostly white that you see there, right? So by adding white bubble on it, it makes it more interesting, but at the same time still keeps it very light, very sort of quiet and subtle. Like I say, subtle and quiet are not my strengths. So I'm just adding more white paint to the bubble wrap, right? So save that stuff when you get it. It's so much fun. And then just stamp. And don't let it twist, just straight up and down, okay? And that way you'll get decent prints. It's not perfect, right? It's kind of what I love about it though. It's just like you'll get good texture look on your paper, right? All right, so you can see what's happening? See how different that looks now? Then, hang on. No, I mean, not super different. There's the original type, and there's the other one. See the difference? Very subtle, right? Not a whole lot of difference, but at the same time, it's definitely something, right? So sometimes you need that, right? Sometimes you need things to be quieter and more like in the background, right? So they don't compete so much against your main event, right? Whatever that is on your thing, right? So in my case, it's going to be the picture. So I want a bit of blue, right? And I want it to be subtle. So I think I'm going to use this one and we'll see what happens, right? Sometimes you can get 2 prints from the same piece of bubble wrap, if you don't mind faded, right? It's all an experiment, guys. That's what I love about it. It's just one giant painting science kid playing experiment, right? And it brings me such joy, and I hope it does for you too. Doesn't stress me out. I'm just like playing and making mud pies, and you know what? That's what makes me happy. That's why I do art, right? And I hope that when you see it, it comes across, that you think, oh, that looks happy. I wonder what she was thinking there. So I didn't get much of a print the second time, especially because I'm going subtle. So let's just do it again, right? Because we can. Because what's the worst that can happen? It's a piece of paper. And a little bit of paint. Honestly, it doesn't cost that much, right? So there we go. So now I've printed the whole thing. You could do it all with one single sheet, but I just know me. I know what's going to happen if I have a giant piece of bubble wrap, paint, and you. I know what's going to happen. It's not going to go on nicely. Right? So I've got that, and I like that, right? So I'm like, I'm going to stop there. I'm also going to take this one. I could stop there, right? But we're here now, right? I'm going to take some white and see what happens when I print on that. And, you know, it'll probably just, it'll appear to lighten it up a bit more. That's all, right? It'll just, because there's more white showing, it'll become what feels even lighter, right? Ooh, check it out. See that? So it just adds another layer, another bit of textured, not actual texture, but visual texture. That looks really good, right? To our eyes. Our eyes love interesting, textured, subtle contrast, you know, lots going on, lots to see, lots to notice, lots to think about. I'm going to avoid a couple of spots because I like how they look, so I don't want to do too much on them. So there's a couple spots that I'm not going to put any printing on because I'm like, oh, you're going to find there's things you're like, oh, I like that. I'm not going to change that, right? So I'm going to avoid that, but I'm going to like stamp on. Basically, that's what we're doing. Elsewhere on my paper. And when I tear this up and put it on a collage or something, there we go. See that? So now you can see 2 different things going on. There's brush strokes and there's stamps, and it's all pretty light. Again, let me show you. Compared to what would be my darker piece, right? See how different they are? Right? But that's okay because this will make that really pop and really stand out, and that's what I'm after. I need a lot of these to make these the star of the show. So, all right, I'm gonna set that one aside. Actually, you know what? I might use this one today. We're gonna see, okay? I'm gonna dry that, and we're gonna see. All right, I'm back, and what have we decided? Did anybody notice, was there more basket or house? Or was there anybody at all that voted on that? Because we can go back to that in a minute. Why am I doing both sides, you ask? Because water evaporates out of one side faster than the other, and that creates warping, right? So when your wood or your paper warps, it's because the water is evaporating out of the one side much faster. So work on both sides, and you'll have less of that. Usually if it's cupping, like doing like that, you want to flip it over and then dry this side some more, and then flip it back over and it'll start to just do this, right? That's the official term. Now I could iron it, right, because it's paper, or I could press it underneath. Actually, what I normally do is I just put this down like when it's kind of damp, not wet at all, but it's still slightly damp. I flip it down on some parchment paper, put this on top, and put some of my weights on top. All right, so we've got this, we've got this, and we've got this. So now the question is, you know what? I might just forget what I said. I think I'm just going to do this bunny here, right? I think I'm going to pick the bunny. So executive decision, thanks for your input. Since I'm the artist, right? I'm going to cut that out. Now you can print this on cardstock. I just printed it on regular paper. You can print it on sticker paper. You can print it on anything you can print through your printer, you can print this on, right? I actually have stickers I might be using up one day because I can't use them for anything else. Big labels for printing on, and they're no good to me. They're no good to me for what I normally use them for. So I was like, you know what I can do? I'm just going to trim this out. Now I always like to leave a bit of a outline around my thing, right? But you fussy cut as much as you want, right? I also don't want to take 27 hours to do this in front of you. Right? If I was going to do that, I would just do it offline. But that's, you know, I'll do me, right? Each of us has to figure out what it is that makes our heart happy. And when we do that, our craft project, our arts, whatever it is we're doing, will come much more alive if we're doing what makes us happy, right? All right. And what makes me happy is not having to fussy cut too much, right? So you can see, there he is, right? There he is. And I think he's going to look good on there. He's going to be the star of the show. I don't know why it's a he. It just is, right? Don't ask me. I don't make the rules, right? And you can see that the eggs kind of blend in with that blue, right? So this is the most sort of part that pops, right? I could make it lighter if I was to have it against just this without any other distractions. You can see the difference, right? So when I put it up against, this has just the light blue, right? You can see the eggs better, right? So you'd have to decide this, right? If you put it up against this with all the other stuff in the background, the eggs kind of fade out a bit, but the bunny stands out. So, you know, you have to try and see, right? You have to kind of figure these things out. So let's put them up against just this one, right? This is just the very light with the, oh, you know what? I like that one the best. So that's a very light watercolor paper with the white. This is a bit darker blue, right? So, and it's got more going on. So I think I'm going to just put that aside for now. I'm going to dry this, and we're going to use this instead. Another artist decision, or executive decision, or whatever you want to call it. Right? And I'll save that paper for another day, right? When I'm doing another collage. Nothing is wasted, right? Even the bits and pieces I save when I do like what they call an artist trading card. Like this, right? It's actually a set of cards I got with my daughter that means something to me. And then I just use the bits and pieces, the scraps, and I turn them into something called an artist trading card, and I get to play more, right? Well, why are we drying the back stuff? We all know now, right? See how it's curling? I'll show you. Look. See how it's curling up? See that? It's because the water's drying out faster, right? On this side with the heat gun. So let me flip it. Watch what happens. All right. And heat that up. Let me move it so you can see. And then look, it goes down, right? Because it's kind of evening out. Now see the sides coming up? That means I need to go flip it again. Okay. Just dry whatever's standing up. That's not perfect, but it's a lot better than just like watching it curl up on you. And that's if you don't have time. Like I said, if you have time, you just let it dry and then you put it under a book or something heavy for a couple of days. Or you don't worry about it, which is, I don't worry about it because I'm usually gluing it down to something. I don't have to think too much about it. So we got this guy, we've got that guy. So I think we're good there. And again, there's about a zillion things I can do, right? So inside here, there's a little white frame, and I'm gonna use that to help me figure out where I want. I'm just taking my dollar store frame apart. All right. And I'm gonna take this and use it as a template to find a good spot and put my little bunny down and just kind of get a good idea of how I want this to work, right? And I'm going to take my pencil once I'm happy. And mark out the outside and the inside so that I know where I need to work and I know where I need to cut. Then very lightly on the inside, I just mark a couple of tiny little lines so I stay within it when I'm working. All right, so you can see I did the outside and then there's just a few little marks on the inside to remind me to stay inside that area when I'm working so it will actually show on the frame, right? So let's cut her down. This is so pretty. I really love these colors. All right. And I'm going to use this again just to kind of keep me honest, right? It's a bit bigger, so I need to trim it just a wee bit. If you have a cutter that cuts straight, I'd use that, but mine's over there and you're over here, so I could, but you know. So see now up against that white, you can see the blue a bit better, right? Still subtle though, right? And then I decide, where do I want bunny? I think I'm going to put him down here in the corner, and then if I had some writing I could put it up there. But for now, I'm going to leave it, right? So I'm going to just glue it like this. Now, I have to decide. That goes in there. See, it's still a tiny bit big. See that? There. See that? Okay. think that he's going to sit right there. So I have a glue stick. I know, right? Just a regular old glue stick. We don't have to be fancy around here. Well, that one's done, but I have this giant one. This is just the Elmer's. And make sure you get that glue everywhere. See, even paper loves to curl up because of the water, right? Oh, he's cute. Let me just have a look. So there he's there, right? All right, into the frame he goes. See that? And this goes in. Then this goes in. Close up the frame. If you had some words to put on there, if you've got a Cricut or something, you want to do that. You want to freehand something. You want to put them in the middle instead of on the side. There we go. Oh, isn't he adorable? Now, who's the star of the show here? You can see him, right? Even though I've done a very subtle background. Whoops. Let's get you. Yeah. He's definitely the star of the show. And you can just see what I did there with the subtle white on light, light blue, right? But you saw me do all of it, so you can do that too, right? So I think we got a winner, right? I'm pretty happy with that. And like I say, if I wanted to, I could put something up here, but that might distract from this right here. So you have to decide. If you had a smaller frame that fit him, right? This is what I had. This is what I'm working with. This is what I do. I just work with what I have, right? And whatever happens, happens, because it's not like I can't take that apart and do something else, right?